Good afternoon, Facebook Live. This is Mike George coming at you live from Alexandria, Louisiana. I feel like it's been a while since I've done a proper Facebook Live post. So hi. For some of the kids out there who might be new to the whole Mike George on Facebook Live experience, not really much to tell you about it that's specific or unique or really need to know. Just kind of roll with me while I subject you guys to some basically just some rambling thoughts of mine. So anyways, hello there, I'm Mike George. Just coming at you live from home. To be more specific, what is known as Crimson House in the beautiful Alexandria, Louisiana. And I say beautiful because right now, I shit you not, it is like gorgeous. It is like it's like above 20 degrees, which for some of, for Fahrenheit people was like, fuck, I mean, that's like 70 degrees, 70 Fahrenheit, we'll say. And look at, I'm just loving this weather. Like, it just stopped raining. The sun is coming out. There's probably a rainbow somewhere if I look hard enough. But it's just a gorgeous day today. And I think for some of you guys, this might be the first time that perhaps you've seen my, my abode in Alexandria. I keep wanting to say Alexandria, Virginia, and that's obviously not it. All right, just a quick little note here. We're going to do a little safety moment. I always, being in my business, my line of business, we always start each conversation with a little safety moment, and today is no exception. So today's safety moment, I guess the obvious would be, rain related. If you're driving around this fine town, be careful, watch out for, I will say Louisiana does have a greater tendency to have issues with standing water. I think one of these little things that we take for granted and probably don't even think about most of the time is drainage. And I tell you what, when you drive a lot on the roads, especially if you drive during adverse weather, obviously there's always the risk of hydroplaning and obviously loss of, just general loss of traction on the roadway. Now, most of the time, I don't know, I'm from Ohio, Midwest, our roads tend to, I think for the most part, we don't get an aggressive amount of rain generally, first of all. And it seems like, if you ever notice how the roads are sort of pitched and sort of, they're not completely flat, they're, they're pitched to basically kind of let the water drain off the sides. And obviously, there's a lot of, depending on how you design, how steep you make that pitch, and probably a lot of other things that I'm not qualified to talk about because I'm not a civil engineer, will, kind of basically determine how quickly that water drains out off the road, and so therefore determines, how deep those puddles are and how many of them there are along the roadway. Not to mention, obviously, potholes and such. Anyways, my whole point is that Louisiana, just when you sort of look around the landscape of Louisiana, there's ditches everywhere. There's these drainage gullies. What the fuck are they? I'm trying to think of what they're actually, if there's a proper name for it. I guess just ditches. You see ditches everywhere, and perhaps some of you people in Louisiana, or I think Florida kind of has the same thing. You just sort of notice it everywhere. There's just gullies and ditches everywhere. For all that rain to have somewhere to go. And I just find that fascinating. It's one of those things you don't really notice, I guess, around you, and sort of the just everyday infrastructure. In the parking lot, for instance, around you or whatever. But anyways, I've come to appreciate those types of things because it rains a fuck lot here in Louisiana, as you can imagine. And so, thank goodness I've never had to deal with a major flooding situation, First of all, thank goodness that my dwelling here is above sea level, first of all. That is always a positive when it comes to water not ending up inside your home, right? So let me give you just a little kind of just look at here at my place. This is a little front view of the Maison Crimson House. Oh my God, I was gonna do a safety moment that was a little bit more targeted before, not just about the general, being careful on the road during the rain thing, which hopefully is just common sense. And also, please put on your headlights, goddammit, people. Headlights in the goddamn rain. Headlights. Really, headlights always, in my opinion, but especially in the goddamn rain, people. And I'm looking at you Ohio drivers, because goddammit, Ohio drivers are goddamn worst with that shit. Put on your damn headlights, people. Anyways, I'll go on. I move on. I think one of my former colleagues is, I think he would appreciate that safety moment, which I consider just common sense about the headlights. Please put on your goddamn headlights, people, especially when it's raining, especially if you have a gray goddamn car. Jesus, that's the worst. Those people should know better. If you own a gray car and you ain't putting on those headlights every goddamn minute you're in it driving around, you're a fucking fool. You're just asking, or maybe you're just trying to be undercover and sneak up behind somebody, sneak up behind your ex without them finding you or something on the road. I don't know. But basically, you don't want to be seen, and you probably want to get rear-ended, don't you? And not in the cute way, either. Not in the cute, consensual way, definitely. So, all that. But yeah, actually, I keep forgetting this is my first time really doing a Facebook Live kind of on site here at home. Now that I have this place kind of together to a presentable, state here. But yeah, this is, so Louisiana is so some of the little, I was talking before about some of the little infrastructure details that you sort of notice. First and foremost being drainage. Second of all, kind of owing to the same kind of on that same theme, Louisiana is essentially a swampland, so the water table's very high. The soil is not very, not very solid. Not very solid. It doesn't stay together very well from a standpoint of just stability. If you're building, say, a foundation. And so what I've noticed here, which I find kind of unsettling myself, is that all of the homes here, I'm just going to do a little quick pan of the street here, the street that I live on here in beautiful old Alexandria. But I don't know if you can see that the homes around here are kind of like one story, including mine. And shit, I love my little home, but like one problem with this whole one story concept is that you don't have a basement. And I guess for some reason when I was a little kid, I just took for granted the idea that we had basements in most houses. And the reason I mention that is because tornadoes. And yes, tornadoes do occur down here in the South. Probably not as often, it's probably not as much of a thing as it is perhaps in the Central Plains. But when we do get hurricanes, and in those hurricanes do come tornadoes that spawn out of those hurricanes, right? Just owing itself to being a rather angry mass of air, wrapped up in a terrible thunderstorm. So, basically, right? Those things do have a propensity to start tornadoes. Anyways, it bothered me that, like, basically I'm thinking in my head here, like, if I was, say, in a path of a tornado here in a lovely Crimson House here, where the fuck would I go? Especially if it's a bad tornado. Oh, God forbid. And like it's, kind of show you I was kind of showing you a glimpse of my house before, but here it is again. God damn, I fucking love that U.S. flag, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, et al. Not Al Roker. I love that U.S. flag. And, we can go into my patriotic soapbox if we wish, but I'll resist it for the day. I fucking love that flag. And I will say I'm probably violating, now that I think about it, I am probably violating technically the... God damn it, I think. The flag protocols. Just kind of... Well, actually, no, I don't think so, actually. Because I was going to say I think I was because not technically supposed to have the flag displayed in the rain, right? You don't want the flag to get wet, and get defaced, etc. from this, the rain. But, however, I think it's sheltered enough. I think we can argue that the awning and, kind of the geometry of this sort of thing. I think that flag is pretty damn well protected from the elements, and God damn it, she still looks good. So I will give myself a pass on that if nobody objects. And since nobody really talks on here, nobody will object. So that's the beautiful thing about That's the beautiful thing about, I guess, Facebook Live in a way. Nobody really has a chance to object, or if they do, it's maybe like a 10-second delay before you just kind of move on to the next subject. So it must be like being the leader of China. You just kind of just like say what the fuck we're gonna do, and then people just nod and go along with it. Fuck it, all right? No, I'm just one only hopes, right? One only hopes that and it very so rarely ends up being the case, right? That's how we end up with the United States. But anyways, hi Facebook Live. I am gonna get a water because I am fucking parched. If it is not readily apparent from my voice at the moment. But yeah, hello. It's been a while since I've done this whole Facebook Live bullshit. Work has been incredibly fucking busy. I will say a lot of fun though. I don't think I've had a proper chance to talk about work shit, so I shall. But I do a lot. I'm doing more of a field engineering position now, which is kind of interesting because whatever you want to say about it, it's, a lot of people can look at it as like a step backwards and, just career wise and such for me, which whatever. I don't look, sure, we can go with that. I don't give a fuck. Perhaps it is. But nonetheless, I've loved it. I've had a lot of fun with it. And I think of it, I hate thinking of it what I just said, with it being a step backwards, because, there is that kind of general kind of, I think, almost stereotype or impression out there that field people, guys that work in the field are somehow dumber or just less, I guess, whatever you want to say, academically rigorous or whatever than the folks kind of in the office that kind of tend to be the R&D people and the planning people and the, all that stuff, the administrative functions and all that. I will say, I don't know, working in this field work has been a lot of fun. It takes me out, 4 out of 5 days of the week on the road in the employer-owned car. So it's nice to not have to actually fucking have a car, especially if you are familiar enough with me to know my general distaste for the whole fuckery of car ownership and the financial wisdom that does not that basically is not associated with that. So anyways, I digress. But anyways, it's stressful as fuck, I will say. Just because I'm driving so much, I'm on the road all the time and seemingly having to deal with little crises all the fucking time. It's nice in the sense that every day is different, and it's not often that I sort of end up stuck in a rut or a loop that seems to never end. But it's also it's been stressful, and I guess stressful in the standpoint of just lots of things on my plate. I guess not stressful in I guess there's, if you want to look at different types of stress that I've had to deal with, at least, there's sort of the stress of I say kinetic. I guess right. I used to say kinetic stress versus versus sort of a latent stress or it's kind of, I sort of think about them as potential energy versus kinetic energy from the standpoint of obviously kinetic energy is sort of the energy associated with motion, i.e. momentum, so, if something collides with you, you're likely going to move to some magnitude in that direction that thing had just punched you towards, I think we all know what that is. Anyways, that, and also, I forgot what my whole point was with this whole thing. That there were 2 forms of stress. Yes, I was relating energy to stress. That's right. And when I say stress, I mean mental stress, stress of but yeah, not as opposed to physical, the stress of an object, stress and strain and all that. Anyways, I'm only just saying that because 2 different forms of stress, the kind that is a kinetic stress, which is kind of the stress of just having lots of things to do, right? You're kind of running around from appointment A to appointment B to appointment C, you're kind of being regimented through a very active day. That, there's that kind of stress, or perhaps that stress can also be something like driving, there's the stress of having to pay attention when you're driving and that type of thing. But what I call sort of a latent stress, which I, kind of make the analogy to, the potential energy, the energy that's bottled up, essentially. I guess as I kind of almost implied there, just, the latent stress is sort of a bottled up type of stress. It's something I don't know. Like I've had instances in my past of projects going nowhere, like stalling my thesis, which I will admit is more often than not, some sort of consequence of my own procrastination. I think we've all had that, right? Just generally the stress of watching your inbox like just mount up while you sit there and just sort of do nothing but get stressed about it, which is a very unproductive way of working, or really not working. Anyways, actually this afternoon I do have the day off, so that's kind of a nice little breather. Hence why I'm on Facebook Live and entertaining the kids, right? So, speaking of entertaining the kids, and speaking of the kids, how are you all out there? So far, it's just been me on monologue mode here, but in order to make this a truly interactive Facebook Live experience, we need your feedback. So what the fuck here? Let's look through some comments. Mike. All right, so far that is the only... Oh, hi, Caroline. That is from forever ago, but if you are still online, Miss Caroline Ann, hi, back to you. Oh, goodness, my hair is flopping all over the place. This is not... See, my makeup and hair people haven't arrived yet, so obviously that's going on. Anyways, how are things out in your neck of the woods, though? I mean, Caroline, thank you for saying hello. Thank you for just generally being active in the comments. I know it's like weird to kind of leave comments on Facebook Live, and like I never quite know myself like how those comments work in real time. Like if somehow the comment is specifically indexed to that point in time that at which you left it along the video clip, or if it's just kind of like applied, as a general comment to the whole thing, And I feel like Facebook has been really I feel like Facebook has also itself kind of changed that without telling. Facebook does that shit all the time where it'll tweak or mod some sort of some sort of setting and not tell us. I mean, to be fair, I don't really care half the time, and want all the notices. But anyways, nonetheless, Facebook's always doing that shit, and I don't know. I think I'm getting to the point where I'm old to the state, in the context of not being able to always be nimble, we'll say smooth with my technology as they fucking change it. And anyways, let's not even get me started on a rant about that shit, technology and just general ease of use. Anyways, let's see here. Come on, guys, leave some fucking comments. Otherwise, it's just monologue, right? Unless it's more of what you want. One viewer still online with me. Now, let me think here. Otherwise, I've been meaning to do a proper update. So let me think of what else there is to up. I mean, I was kind of telling you guys about the field position that I've been doing at CLECO. CLECO standing for the Central Louisiana Electric Company. Interesting, actually, a whole interesting history about how CLECO started. I kind of, in my head, I at least kind of call it, it's a tiny, I shouldn't say tiny, but it's a small power company compared to like even PGE, like Portland General Electric and AEP, like others that I've worked at. So I kind of call it the little utility that could, the little utility that could, because I mean, it's definitely like a somewhat more frenzied, less structured environment than say AEP. These large companies that sort of have institutional resources, I would just say in general. You obviously when you're a big company, you have you have you just have sort of the economies of scale. You have standardization that you can really. Anyways, I don't want to go on about that all day, but generally all that to say, like, working at this little power company in Louisiana has been, if you want to talk about culture shock, aside from just like the culture shock of just moving to the South, I mean, there's just a culture shock of working at a small utility versus like, AEP, for instance. Like, so it's been cool though, because I mean, working in a field environment at a small company like that, it definitely makes you feel like, there's less room for error, I guess, if you will. Like if I fuck up, there's not going to be like 10 other people behind me that might possibly catch something. You know what I mean? There's that kind of sense that like of greater importance. Like, when you're at a small company, like your stake in the whole, your skin in the game is a lot greater, overall. So, but anyways, aside from that, like I've, now that like, I've kind of got to the point where like I have a proper like pad here in Louisiana, in Alexandria. And I will say, like, Alexandria has been super fucking cute. I had no idea what the fuck to expect when I moved down here. Like, I had never been to Louisiana, really, except for, like, a couple times when I was at AEP, like, doing work in Shreveport. And I will say I loved the people that worked out of that Shreveport office. And just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's easy. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys, most of you guys probably know this, but, like, fuck. The Southerners are just, how can you, it's so difficult to not fall in love with these people down here. At least for me. And like, it's just, like, I remember when I first, like, like got this position and like, was like, what the fuck? Louisiana, what? In my mind, this place was just arbitrary as fuck. In terms of my goals and career aspirations and whatnot. So like, it's like, it's like somebody moving into Steubenville, Ohio, and you're, for a lot of you folks who are, from that, I mean, it's like, I'm sure most of you guys are probably like, why the fuck would you move to Steubenville, Ohio? Why would you, like that? I've got that so many times. Like, why the fuck did you move to Alexandria, Louisiana? And and then I go into my whole thing. But anyways, I was inviting questions and I hadn't addressed one here yet. In reference to car ownership, do you mean cars in general or specifically gas? No, I mean cars in general, honey. I mean cars in general. I find the notion that 300 million of us, or maybe half of us, or whatever, I find the notion that 100 million, that the U.S. is supposed to have 100 million cars on the road, I guess. I find that absurd. And yes, I know that we're already, whatever, it's just, it's just life. I don't know, I feel like this is not, I mean, it's not a lifestyle I want, just personally. And like, I don't understand how, as a country, like, we would want that, I guess, really, honestly. And I'm not trying to say that, like, oh, like, shit. I mean, I know I sounded a little bit, like, soapboxy, but fuck, I mean, I just don't understand. And I know why, I know how we got here. It's, how we got to the point where everything relies on your little piece of shit car starting and getting you around. Like, it just, fuck, I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, I know, like, I've shit, I don't know. It just pains me a bit. And obviously, like, we don't think about that if you own a car, right? Like, if you own a car, like, and when I love driving. Like, I have nothing bad to say about our nation's system of highways and shit and everything, but we have definitely, like, put all of our eggs in that one basket, And that's not even a very good basket, because it's a basket that requires each individual to own a car, or, each household to own a car. And I just find that, if you really think, like, critically about all of the little ways that car culture sort of percolates into the rest of our livelihoods. I mean, it's kind, it's sort of I think, I'll sort of compare it to the whole, like, boiling a frog in a thing of water, right? The whole analogy that you often hear about a frog. Like, if you slowly heat up the water in order to boil it, it won't notice. That's kind of how the theory goes, that, that something can be so gradual that we don't really notice it until we really pause and reflect and realize, what the fuck? How do we, what, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of that sort of situation. Anyways, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole with that one. I mean, if you do want to go into that one with me, I mean, I have some further reading for you on my website, actually, somewhere near my fucking thesis and all that bullshit, But anyways, yeah, let me actually address your question a little more directly here, though. In reference to car ownership, do you mean, yes, I think I answered that. Yeah, cars in general, absolutely. And yes, I do find like solace in like, yeah, electric vehicles are fantastic. It's a step in the, like, if we sort of consider if we limit ourselves just to the argument that, of just cars in general, like, of having to own a car in the first place, if, given that I'm going to have to buy a car, yes, I do want to be able to buy, one that doesn't burn petrol. Yes, yes. So, I think that was maybe, I don't know if that was part of your question explicitly, but nonetheless, yeah, I mean, the electric vehicle phenomenon is exciting. However, it does, I mean, everybody knows this. I mean, it does require a large investment in infrastructure to build, say, pumping, not pumping stations, but, charging stations for these things, especially the fast charging stations. It's going to have, it has impact on the grid. There's times at which the grid is not enough to sustain, say you have especially if you have a coincidence situation, say a football game or something, where you have lots of cars suddenly arriving to the chargers wanting power, right? Not to mention the actual fucking stadium. Anyways, I mean, tangent aside, like, yes, I mean, electric vehicles are fantastic. I've helped research that shit. Like, I've researched the inverters and some of the control technologies that are now being used in these lithium ion batteries and the electric drives for the motor and such. Yeah, I mean, that was part of my field of research. So I love it. Like, that is amazing. But at the same time, though, it's sort of a tragedy. I mean, I shouldn't say a tragedy. That's being a little dramatic. But it's sort of a missed opportunity, if you will. It's a shame that, in my opinion, as an industry, the electric power industry, that they have decided to put all the focus on trying to get electric vehicles, out the market. Which I will say, I always feel kind of mixed about this because, again, I am an advocate of electric vehicles. But from the larger picture of it all, we should not live in a society that requires every fucking household to own a car, particularly households that can't fucking afford one. And I say that I'll call that out specifically because everybody I think knows this, but I'm sure everybody's mama or papa has told them, like, cars are a horrible investment, right? Nobody buys a car to have it appreciate in value, to even have it hold its value, It's not a thing. I mean, like, obviously people do that for homes, and you can, and obviously, like, and I think it's generally known because obviously, like, you can't take out a loan on from the value of your car like you can with the value of your home, right? So, like, we have already, it's generally understood that your car is not an asset in that sense. But it's definitely a fucking liability, if you, I guess, and I mean, some of you accountants out there, who probably have a little bit more technical expertise on exactly what those terms mean, maybe there's some, maybe I'm a little bit incorrect, maybe I can be corrected here, but, I do not look at a car as an asset. Well, actually, no, you can sell a car. So I take that back. You can sell a car. And actually, I think about it. I'm trying to think if there are cases that they offer, that a bank would give you a loan. I guess, I don't know. Because, I mean, once you pay off your car, I wonder if you could actually use the sort of the, I guess the theoretical resale value of your car to write a loan against it, probably can. And so, I mean, God, there's so many there's far sketchier loan machinations out there that exist in that. So I'm sure that it has to exist, shit. Well, anyways, that was a tangent, everybody. But I mean, let's see what God, I'm sorry. I think I did address your question though. People buy cars for vanity. Oh yeah, of course they do. Of course. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not even hating on that at all. I do that, right? And we all do it. I'm a gay man with some disposable income to waste on a fucking car. So actually, I haven't done that. I am still carless. I mean, I'm sticking true to my fucking word of, and it's kind of hilarious to sort of be so militaristically, like, to basically not own a car in a city like Alexandria. Here, let me just give you I'll show you why, actually, because it's kind of hilarious in my opinion. some of you guys, know that I'm not a city planner, obviously, but I do love SimCity. And I like to think, because of all of the years, and among those years, the thousands of hours of the embarrassing amount of playtime that I have put into my city skylines, I think I will use that to give myself a little bit of cred here in the realm of urban planning. Obviously, not like real life urban planning, never done, but that's what they pay the big bucks to people like David Fish for, right? Hi, David. By the way, welcome to the show. I think this is a show, or it's something for sure. Faux. It's definitely faux show. But anyways, how are you doing, David? I was on the subject of oh God. I mean, I was on my usual soapboxes about about poor infrastructure planning. Want to chime in with anything of your own? Shoot. No, I was talking about Alexandria here because, it's just like, the 98% of America in which you need a car to do anything, really, Including just go to fucking McDonald's, I love, my fucking favorite thing is when, during, especially, okay, here's a scenario. When I'm drunk, this is assuming I have my old car, my old Mazda. So, say I'm drunk. And because of that, I don't want to fucking drive my car or even go in it. But I'm hungry and I want to go to McDonald's. Can I just... And say it's after 2 a.m. and only the the main restaurant part is shut down and only the drive-thru is open. My fucking pet peeve is when the McDonald's does not allow you to fucking walk through the drive-thru. Like, that is one of my biggest fucking pet peeves. And I don't know, this is something that's been interesting, because it sounds like a very kind of minute detail, I guess, or something, whatever. And yeah, I mean, of course, McDonald's, the excuse that they gave me was the safety thing. Like, they were concerned that by walking through the drive-thru, that the other cars behind me, in front of me, whatever, that were in that drive-thru queue were somehow not going to see me. And, it was, I think that was the line of their argument, essentially. Which, to be fair, I mean, nobody ever wants to put McDonald's in a situation of, of me suing them because some chick, runs into me while, anyways, I can understand that. God damn it. But I've noticed it varies by state. Like, when I was in Portland, for instance, I'm trying to remember here now. No, shit. Actually, no. I take that. I am to be corrected on that. Because in the suburbs, the McDonald's were kind of stingy. I don't understand that, though. Like, why the fuck I can't just walk through the drive-thru of a McDonald's. Like, can anybody help me with this, please? Anybody with some, I mean, am I missing something obvious here? I mean, obviously, there's the liability factor, right? But is there some sort of law or something? I mean, I don't think there's a law, right? Or even a regulation that sort of dictates anything about walking through a fucking drive-thru, is there? I don't know. That just seems so fucking... I hate shit like that, where, that... I hate shit... That's a perfect example of infrastructure built for cars and not fucking people. If you want... Hell, I would consider McDonald's to be considered critical infrastructure in some cases, actually. I was sort of second-guessing myself on the definitions here a little bit. Anyways, there's my pet, one of many, 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 many soapboxes of mine regarding just general give a fucks about people without cars, in the country. That's, so I'll spare you the rest of that. But yes, actually, Jake, thank you. I'm sorry, I totally missed your comment here. There is, in fact, a way to take a loan on a car. Title loans. Okay, that makes sense. I've seen signs for those everywhere, usually in the ghetto. Yeah, I can see, and they can fuck your credit, I'm sure. Yeah, okay. Okay, I have to kind of do, yeah, I can see that. They're probably just like, all the other kind of loans that are, the payday loans and all those types of things that are, just outraged. Yeah, that's good thing. Yeah, that's actually, I've heard of title loans, and now, that makes sense now. Thank you for that. See, we're learning shit today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Yeah, thank you, Jake. That was awesome. Oh gosh, let's see. What else is going on in life? Oh yeah, Crimson Roost Studios. I'm trying to kind of get some more. Oh god, it seems like I never have. It seems like I either don't have time to do it when I'm working, or when I'm in the situation where I'm like, jobless and have tons of time. Suddenly, I obviously don't have the money. So it's like I need to structure this a lot better for myself to kind of have a more balanced approach here to getting this Crimson Roost Studios organization kind of on its feet. But I think for some of you folks who followed me last year, Crimson Roost Studios is a nonprofit that I founded, basically to save my ass at first when I ran out of money after losing my job in Portland. Actually, I shouldn't say it like that because this thing had sort of existed in theory before that, but essentially that's kind of when we'll call that its beta mode was my source of income, which for some of you folks who donated to it and therefore saved my ass during those awful fucking times, thank you again. And I think at some point I sent out a nice little thank you note with a list of our sponsors, like essentially a list of people who helped me out, like who lent me money. Thank you guys. Probably some of you guys who are watching. Fuck Jake. I'm sure at some point you did. Thank you if you did. And if you didn't, fuck it. I don't worry about it because if you remember in 2020, everybody was fucking broke. So, oh my god, shit. So, anyways, all that to say, thank you guys. And I'm just gonna kind of segue and mosey my way to a close here by saying, life in Louisiana is amazing. Well, I shouldn't say amazing. It's good. It's good. Amazing would imply, it's definitely good. I'll tell you what's amazing is this goddamn weather. Because again, before I sign off here, we just have to take another look at this weather. Because in fact, it did rain, but fuck, it's beautiful overall. And this thermometer literally reads 23 degrees. That's fucking insane. For Fahrenheit people, that's 23 degrees is hot, upper 70s. It's upper 70s. It's oh, gorgeous. The Lord is smiling upon us today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And so, et al. Don't worry, I always don't want to forget about the et al. Part, if I'm being a proper queer man here. So, anyways, on that note, I bid you a tutula. And, if you guys are, I think there is a big storm system, going through Ohio and such. In fact, this rain is probably, now that I think about it, probably the fringe of it all. But if you guys are experiencing some hazardous weather, stay safe. If it's raining, be careful on the roadways. Do not use your use your cruise control judiciously. Know how the fuck your cruise control works if you use it at all in the rain. Otherwise, I just say don't use it. Because that shit will fuck you up if you get stuck in a little lost attraction situation. Anyways, be safe out there, guys. And take care of each other, right? Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. A tutela.